Okay, I think we're live. So, I took a short break, not a long one, just a short break today, and things went crazy while I was gone. I was just playing pickleball for a couple of hours, and I come back, and it seems US may get involved in the war. Now, one of the biggest reason I think that's gonna happen is we just got reports roughly 40 minutes ago. So not that long ago, just 40 minutes ago. We'll wait a second for more people to join in. Hey, what's up, Fizzy? We got reports just 40 minutes ago that there have been some attacks in Gulf of Oman. Now, I've been saying this in the last few days in our videos, that the only way US gets involved, there are only two possible ways US gets involved, is either US soldiers or US workers are attacked. Now, there was some close calls in Iraq, the US embassy. It's operating on limited capabilities, but there are protests right outside, and the Iranian proxy groups keep sending drones towards the embassy or in the close proximity of the embassy. But nothing out of the ordinary. So US probably wasn't going to get involved unless there's a big attack on US embassy or US soldiers in the Middle East. That didn't happen. But the second way US gets involved is attack on oil cargoes in the Middle East. Now, Iran has a very strategic position right here. You guys see this is where Iran is. Here's Saudi Arabia. Here's Kuwait, Iraq, UAE, Oman. All these countries use this narrow passageway right here. This is Strait of Hormuz. They use it to send their oil to the world. And Iran has warned the world and the United States many times that they will block off this passageway if US doesn't give in to Iranian demands or if US puts too much pressure on Iran. Well, guess what? So far, we all assumed that it was just big talk. Again, Iran has a habit of talking a lot of stuff. So far, we assumed Iran would never do that because they would not want US to get involved. You know, exactly like Tyler said, don't touch our boats. I think if history is any proof, you don't want to mess with US boats. Well, just 50 minutes ago, not even 50, 45 minutes ago, we got some reports about oil tankers being on fire right here in Gulf of Oman. This is Gulf of Oman. Right here is the Strait of Hormuz. This is just 20 miles wide and roughly 1/5 of the world's oil. Actually, more than 1/5. 20% to 22% of world's daily oil supply passes through here. Anything you do here, again, you don't have to shut off the whole thing. Iran doesn't have a strong military. They don't even have a strong navy. But we know with the Houthis how they operated a few months ago right here in the Red Sea. They just have to hit one or two tankers, one or two ships, and the whole world will just stop shipping through there. The whole world, just to be safe, because the insurance prices go up. They'll just be safe and they'll just stop shipping there. That means the oil prices will go ballistic if this attack is confirmed, and it was just confirmed 40 minutes ago. Now, before we dig deep into that, a lot of stuff happened while I was away for pickleball, so I want to catch you guys up real quick. In last 24 hours, US has moved a lot of aerial tankers to Europe and possibly to Middle East. Now, why they were doing that, we don't exactly know, but this is not something that's common. Definitely happening, that's a little worrisome, and that's why we're paying attention to it. Another thing, now this happened today. Trump has been in Canada for a G7 summit. And at that summit, Trump refused to sign a joint G7 de-escalation statement regarding the Israel-Iran war. Now, why would Trump do that? Possibly because he knows something Israel has planned. Now, we'll talk about that in just a minute, what Israel is planning. We have that news. We'll get to that, but let's talk to other stuff. Now, Trump was supposed to stay there till tomorrow. He was supposed to go through the whole summit, but out of nowhere today, he said he has to go. Now, in the morning, I listened to the press conference that Trump did, and it didn't seem like that there was anything planned that Trump would have to leave early. So something happened in the last 5-6 hours that made Trump leave Canada and come back to the United States. In fact, he's not just coming back. He also ordered a National Security Council meeting to be waiting for him after he gets there. So I think he's already here, if I'm being honest. I don't exactly know where he is, but I know he's out of Canada. I think he's getting to the White House or he just got to the White House. One of the other. We'll check on that in just a second. Another couple of things that are interesting to pay attention. For the first time in a long time, we actually have 3 aircraft carriers in the Middle East. We just had the USS Nimitz strike group rerouted to the Middle East ahead of schedule. That means we have 2 that were already there. I'm blanking on the name, but I think one of them is Truman, some other one, and then we have the USS Nimitz. Another thing, yesterday, State Department said that US citizens should leave Iran, and if they cannot leave Iran, they should shelter in place. Definitely kind of suspicious. It's almost like we know something is coming and we're warning our citizens. If you guys remember, 4 days ago, before the Israeli operation started, the US Department said that they will be scaling down the embassy in Iraq and Bahrain. And they also said any bases, any members, any not unnecessary members. What was I'm forgetting the word, but any family members on US bases could leave voluntarily. There was basically a volunteer evacuation order. So that's something happened. 2 days after that order, Israel started their operation against Iran. In first 50 minutes, Israel took out 25 Iranian commanders, 6 nuclear scientists. So definitely US knew something was coming, and they gave a warning to their people. Same thing is happening now. We don't exactly know what's coming, but it seems like something is coming. Another thing to pay attention that happened just today. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, said he has directed deployment of additional capability to CENTCOM, so Central Command. That's the Middle East Command, and Pete Hegseth is saying that we are just preparing for something. Now, I don't want to read too much into this because this could be just to help Israel defend against Iranian attacks. As you guys saw yesterday, a couple of Iranian missiles have gotten through, and now they're hitting oil assets in Israel. Just last night US time, so I'm guessing just yesterday morning time Israel, Iranian attack 2 ballistic missiles, maybe 3 ballistic missiles, hit a Haifa oil refinery. It was one of the biggest oil refinery Israel has. So this could be just we're trying to help out as much as we can in the defense of Israel. Also to point out, we have roughly 200 or maybe 300 US soldiers inside Israel. 200 of them are managing the THAAD missile that we have given them. Each THAAD system requires roughly 100 US soldiers to manage it. So we have given them 2 of them. There are only 7 in the world, and 2 of them are in Israel to protect against the ballistic missiles that Iran is shooting. So 200 soldiers are managing that. I think other soldiers are doing some other stuff. I don't exactly know. It could be the Patriot missile. Maybe we're managing that. Another thing, Trump tweeted out just, I think 3 hours ago, I was playing pickleball, and Trump said everyone should evacuate Tehran. Tehran is the biggest city in Iran. It has roughly 10 million people, and Trump is sending out the warning that they should evacuate. Definitely worrisome. Now, this is something we covered. State Department issued a warning to US citizens that they should hunker down. Now, let's talk about how Trump's day went. This is what Trump was saying in the morning, and I want to show you guys this because it doesn't really seem like that Trump or US is planning something big. But by the evening time, it seems like there's some kind of emergency that happened, and it could be the ship's on fire. Maybe the US find out before the media, before the public, and they are preparing something. Not sure. We'll wait. We'll see. We'll keep you guys updated. But this is what Trump was saying this morning in Canada at the G7 summit.
Have you heard any signals or seen any messages from intermediaries that Iran wishes to de-escalate the conflict?
Yeah.
What have you heard? What have you heard from the Iranians?
They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days. And
now, I see a lot of people asking Alex Foster, no, we don't know whose boats they are as of yet. But then again, US has an invested interest in keeping the oil prices down. And if we go back to Strait of Hormuz, almost all the traffic is oil traffic. The oil is coming from Saudi Arabia, definitely one of the big suppliers, Kuwait, Iraq, Iran, UAE, Oman. A lot of Gulf countries use this strait. So if any country is unable to ship their oil, the prices go up all around the world. Even if we don't use Saudi oil, if that oil is not able to get to the market, or even if some percentage of that is not able to get to the market, it's going to have a big impact on the total oil prices.
On the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal. And
let me restart this.
Have you heard any signals or seen any messages from intermediaries that Iran wishes to...
So kill switch. Okay, sorry, I keep pausing the video, but I keep seeing interesting questions. That's why. Someone's saying you lost audio. Hopefully the audio is all good. So we don't exactly know. So the news about the Situation Room came a few hours ago, but the report about the oil tankers just came out an hour ago. The thing I'm kind of speculating is maybe the US Department found out before the public, because public is finding out through like some NASA imaging, so we're just finding out through public channels. Maybe the administration knew about this before, and that's why they changed their they changed the plan. That's what it seems like, because Trump wasn't supposed to come back this early. In the morning, there was no sign about him leaving early, but later he was like, something big is happening. That's what he said. I'll get to that clip in just a second.
Have you heard any signals or seen any messages from intermediaries that Iran wishes to de-escalate the conflict?
Yeah,
What have you heard? What have you heard from the Iranians?
they'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war, and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
And what would you say, in your opinion, what would it take for the U.S. to get involved in this conflict militarily?
I don't want to talk about it.
You've seen it.
Again, so far, Trump and even the whole administration in general, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, they've been clear. U.S. is not involved so far in offensively, and the only way U.S. gets involved is if U.S. citizens are hurt. But moving on, this was the message Trump tweeted out roughly 6:30 Eastern. So right now it's 11 p.m. Eastern. So this was roughly, am I doing my math correct? 4.5 hours ago. And this was basically kind of a hint at maybe something is happening, maybe something was coming. And that's what it seems like. Let me read the message so you guys will know. Iran should have signed the deal. I told them to sign. What a shame. Waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've said it over and over again. Now, so far, the message is very usual. Trump has been tweeting, making statements like these for the last few days. But this last sentence, everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. Tehran is the biggest city in Iran, 10 million people, and just hours notice. We don't know what's happening. We don't know when it's coming, but people are leaving in droves. I'll get to the traffic, like the footage from Tehran. The roads are packed. One side of the road, the side that's leaving the city, it's completely packed. People are not able to move very quickly because all the cars are just jamming the roads. And there's definitely panic in the city. There was already panic because Israel's been bombing all around, targeting IRGC buildings, and even targeting the state media office today, which I was going to cover like usual. But this message definitely sends shockwaves throughout Tehran. Now, this is another thing I want to show you guys. This was in the evening in Canada at the G7 summit, and this is what Trump said. This is when Trump was publicly saying that he has to go back to US, go to the White House because something big is coming. So let's play this clip.
Fox News alert moments ago, Donald Trump taking part in the G7 family photo in Canada, and he took questions. Watch.
President, any statement on why you're leaving the G7 early for Washington?
Well, I have to be back. Very important. I want to just thank our great host. He did a fantastic job. Thank you.
Exactly, Steve. How do you evacuate 10 million people? They don't know how long they have. We don't know what's coming. Definitely worrisome sign for Iranian citizens. And I truly do feel bad for them because a lot of Iranian citizens don't actually support the regime. You know, they just don't want to rise up right now because it is a very scary thing to do because the regime also has a lot of supporters. So you're literally risking your life.
Canada, but you probably see what I see, and I have to be back as soon as I can. We're going to have dinner with these wonderful leaders, and then I get on the plane. I have to be back early for obvious
National
reasons.
Security Council?
I loved it. I tell you, I loved it, and I think we got a lot done. Really, a lot done. In fact, UK, we signed a big trade deal today, and we're working on others. But we had just a really great relationship with everybody, and it's really nice. I wish I could stay for tomorrow, but they understand. This is big. This is big stuff. Do you have questions for anybody else?
Have you ever reached out to
Well, pleased with what's going on.
Click.
It's definitely, yeah, worrisome. So this was posted roughly an hour ago. It happened roughly 2 hours ago based on my knowledge. Again, I was a little behind. I was playing pickleball and I didn't know all this was happening. I heard Trump's comments in the morning and I figured Israel and Iran will keep, just going back and forth, and which they were already. But I didn't know US may get involved. So definitely big news happened in just last few hours. Now, this is the image of Tehran. As you guys can see, another shocking part, when Trump's tweet came out, this tweet about evacuating Tehran, it was nighttime in Iran. A lot of people were sleeping. So definitely, we don't know if they're going to get the news that they have to leave. But even if they wanted to leave, it's not an easy thing to do. Lines and lines of cars for miles on. Here's the clip. shocking. Look, you can see how many people, and all one-sided. People are trying to leave. They're trying to go to like the eastern city or northern cities where not a lot of RGC equipment and bases are, or RGC's people, and they know they will be safe there because Israel is targeting the military stuff. Now, another comment Trump made, and this kind of relates to something Netanyahu said this morning. Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel has been going on a media tour. I guess I wouldn't call it a media tour. He went to Fox News yesterday. He went to ABC today. And he has been kind of pushing to U.S. to help out in the operations against Iran. And the reason Israel really needs the U.S. help is because their goal is simple. They want to make sure Iran doesn't have an ability to continue their nuclear program after this whole thing is over. And the only way they can make sure is by destroying every single nuclear facilities Iran has, and also taking out the scientists that are working on this nuclear facility. So they don't have any knowledge and they don't have any material left over. Now, I want to quickly pull up the map of Iranian nuclear facilities right here. I've been doing this a lot. Maybe I should just have that as my home page. It'd be easier that way. But hopefully you guys see this. Do you see it? How do I zoom in? Where is the zoom in? Right here. Let's open it in a new tab. Okay, perfect. So this is the map. As you guys can see, so Israel has already hit this facility, Isfahan, or I'm probably saying that wrong, but you guys see it, and the Natanz. These two facilities are pretty much done for. But one of the biggest facility they have is Fordow right here, and it's almost 300 feet under the ground, and it's surrounded by mountains. Very hard for Israel to target, especially considering Israel doesn't have bunker busters. Okay, but US does. We have the B-2s, we have those heavy bunker busters that can go inside this facility and destroy it. And that's exactly why Israel wants US to help out. Because if they don't achieve the goal they have set out from the beginning, then it's all going to be for nothing. If they leave Iran with just one nuclear facility, well, Iran can pick back up and just restart its nuclear program right after this. And that's why they want US to get involved. And the argument Netanyahu has been saying in all these interviews is Iran has simple foreign policy. It's just two phrases: death to America, death to Israel. And Netanyahu is making a good point, I would say, where he's like, U.S. should help out where they can, because it's not just Israel that Iran is going after, it's also the United States. So this is what Trump tweeted just a few hours ago, and we'll get to the Netanyahu interview in just a second. I have a good clip I want to share with you guys. But this is what Trump tweeted. America first means many great things, including the fact that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Make America great again. Now, another thing which we're not going to get too much into today, but maybe at the end of the stream we'll talk more about it, is the Republican Party. And for all the people who are joining in from outside, that's the Trump's party. We're kind of seeing a split in the Republican Party where some people don't want US to get involved in any way possible. They just don't want US to get involved at all. Doesn't matter how much we're risking, doesn't matter what the upside is, you know? And then there are some people who are behind President Trump who want US to get involved if it's needed, and if it's needed to make sure Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. That's definitely not good for the midterms, but midterms are still a little bit far away. Yeah, we'll talk about Tucker Carlson and everything in just a second. So this is the interview President Netanyahu did today. And it seemed like he was making the point directly to the American citizens, because he knows for US to get involved, the US public has to get behind President Trump. So this is why, I'm guessing, this is my speculation, this is why he's doing the media tour. He went on Fox News yesterday, he's on ABC today. Two of the biggest news broadcasters in the United States.
It's Tel Aviv, tomorrow it's New York. I understand America first. I don't understand America dead. That's what these people want. They chant death to America. So we're doing something that is in the service of mankind, of humanity, and it's a battle of good against evil. America should and does stand with the good. That's what President Trump is doing, and I deeply appreciate his support.
John Carl joins me now. So, John, what else did he say about President Trump and how he wants the U.S. to play a role here, or did he?
Well, look, he praised President Trump over and over again in this interview. He knows that he needs the United States support, at least in terms of doing what the U.S. is doing now, which is helping Israel defend itself from those retaliatory attacks from Iran. So it was all couched in a thank you, President Trump. You've been Israel's best friend, but he made it clear that he would like to see more. He didn't come out and directly say it in those ways, but what you heard, what you played right there, I understand America first. I don't understand America dead. He is really speaking to those in the Trump movement, those in the MAGA movement who are adamantly opposed to the United States getting involved in another Middle East conflict. And as you know, Kira, there are some prominent voices, supporters, outside advisors of Donald Trump who are saying, don't get involved. The United States can't be involved. You campaigned against forever wars. People like Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk. Those are, close supporters of Donald Trump who are saying that they don't think the United States should be involved in this. And Netanyahu, it seemed to me, by using their language, I understand America first, I don't understand America dead, was speaking directly to Donald Trump and to his supporters who are critical of what Israel.
Now, one thing, I'll make a comment about U.S. politics. You know what's sad? I kind of like the former National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and he was removed for exactly what the administration is debating now. He was very against Iran not having the nuclear weapons, and I think he was pretty good. Sucks he got removed for something that administration is realizing now. Now, this is another point. After all the Trump tweets, this is the official White House account, and it's kind of making a point for a strike. I don't know. That's just my reading. I don't know what you guys think, but this is what it feels like to me. President Donald Trump has never wavered in his stance that Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, a pledge he has made repeatedly, both in office and on the campaign trail. Now, they posted a lot of clips of President Trump from the election campaign, from the campaign season, all the way throughout to now, every time he has mentioned Iran. And all the clips kind of pointed is like they're trying to build up support for U.S. to get involved. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my reading. And a few people agree. Clear message that U.S. strikes are imminent. Now, I'll show you guys a couple of clips. We'll look at some old clips and some recent clips. So this was 2 years ago, roughly, almost. We are week away from 2 years. So this was definitely early campaign season, and this is what Trump said.
And that was a license for them to make nuclear weapons. And you cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You cannot let it happen because bad things will happen if that happens.
Now, I don't want to go through all the clips. They posted a lot, which is definitely some work. It seems like they want to get the public opinion on their side, which is actually we'll play this Aiden Ross clip.
They can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. You cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
I wonder if we can have any recent ones. I just want to show some recent ones and we'll move on. Oh, this was recent. Now, we have some breaking news coming that we'll get to in just a second, but it seems Steve Witkoff and Vice President J.D. Vance may go meet with Iran this coming week. So there's a chance U.S. may not get involved. This is just coming as I'm recording, and we'll get to that in just a second. We'll get to that. Now, this is just some backup. 20 plus U.S. air fueling tankers went to the Middle East or Europe last night. And Iran was not happy about this. Iran just saw this image and they started threatening U.S. bases, which is something they've been doing all this time. Again, this is where we have to realize until they actually attack a U.S. base, I'm not going to put too much weight on what they're saying because they also have to look strong for the domestic public. There's also the domestic politics that's going on, at least from Iran's point of view. They're already getting destroyed very badly, and I'm sure any opposition inside Iran wants to take advantage of that. So they have to make sure they don't lose the public support or whatever support they do have, because there are still a lot of people in Iran who do support the regime. We have to keep that in mind. So they're just placating that. Now, another thing, just this morning, more warplanes went over. Then, a few hours ago, 5 more tankers went over. We don't know why, but it's happening. People are trying to just piece together stuff from just circumstantial evidence. Now, this guy is a spokesperson for the Iran nuclear program, or he was the spokesperson. I don't know, but he's in Iran. He's a professor there, and he often speaks for the government, and that's why I pay attention to what he says. And he's saying right now that if this is true, if this is going to Middle East to help Israel in any way, then all the Gulf countries, all the countries that are allies of the United States, well, it's time for them to leave because Iran is going to start attacking. Nothing new, not a new rhetoric. Iran has been saying this ever since this whole thing began, and even before that. They haven't done anything so far. Small attacks here and there done by Iranian proxies, but that's not out of the ordinary for Middle East. US bases do deal with drones all the time. So US is not going to overreact based on just small attack. Unless something big happens, that's when US may get involved. But as of now, nothing. In fact, just yesterday in Tel Aviv, because of the Iranian ballistics strike, the US embassy in Tel Aviv was damaged a little. No one was injured, no deaths in the US embassies, but just the building was damaged. Again, not something US is gonna get involved in because of that, but something to pay attention to. Now, this is what the Israeli ambassador said to Washington today. The pager operation. You guys remember how they took out around 2,000 Hezbollah operatives using the pagers, where they sent a message, and then when the operatives went to look at the pager, the IED went off, whatever they had. Well, according to the Israeli ambassador, the pager operation will be simple compared to the surprise attack against Iran this week. We don't know what they have planned. I doubt Iran is going to be surprised a lot more. I think at this point, Iran's probably expecting everything, and that includes the assassination of the supreme leader. So I don't think they're going to be surprised, because only thing that would really surprise Iran, I think if US starts dropping bombs in Iran, I think that would surprise me, that would surprise Iran. Outside of that, I don't think they're going to be surprised with anything. Now, we get into Tucker Carlson a little bit. He has made some big comments against President Trump today, and Trump has hit back. This is what Trump said, and then after this, I'll show you guys the comment Tucker Carlson made. Somebody please explain to cuckoo Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Now, this is the same person. I just want to point this out to everyone. Tucker Carlson went to Russia. He went to a food market that had those trolleys where you can put a quarter and you get the trolley, you get the cart, and then you shop, you put it back, you get your quarter back. US has it all over the place. Here in Texas, Aldi's have it. Like, I've seen that in Houston. Like, you go to Aldi's, you put a quarter in. I think it's the quarter. I don't know. Or maybe it's the 10 cent. I think it's quarter. And then you take it out, you put the cart back. The way he acted, like Russia was way ahead of his time for having a system like that. It was truly, truly embarrassing. But this is what he said against President Trump.
I actually really love Trump. I think he's a deeply humane, kind person. And I am saying this because I'm really afraid that my country's going to be further weakened by this. I think we're going to see the end of American empire, obviously. Other nations would like to see that, and this is a perfect way to scuttle the USS America on the shoals of Iran. But it's also going to end, I believe, Trump's presidency and effectively end it. And so that's why I'm saying this.
What do you mean by that? That's coming from you. That's
look, I knew Bush. I knew George W. Bush. We had, family connections to Bush. I knew Bush. Personally, I still see Bush sometimes. And, of course, he hates me, and he does because I criticized him on Iraq. And that war is the sum total, from a historical perspective, of his administration. But I knew him, and he had all kinds of plans for the things that he wanted to do. But once domestically, right, to improve the country. Right. And you may agree or disagree, but like in his mind, he wasn't just about the invasion of Iraq in March of 2000.
Oh, no. He was going to redo Social Security.
100%,
he had all that. All types of. He was going to take care of the entitlements issue.
And he really thought it was going to work.
Yep.
And you could laugh at that or whatever, but the point is, the second you get enmeshed in a real war, not a fake, let's go bomb the villagers and declare success, though we don't even have a good track.
I just want to say, Israeli operations have been going on for almost 3 days now. The jets are flying with impunity. It's unheard of that even the drones, in fact, United States lost around 7-8 drones when we were in Operation Rough Riders just a few months ago in Yemen against the Houthis. What does that tell you? Houthis were able to deal more damage to the United States than Iran has been able to deal to the Israeli Air Force. Not a single drone, not a single jet has been taken down, or not even just like a mechanical failure. They are flying with impunity, they are refueling in Iranian skies, and they just keep destroying RGC target. I think Tucker is giving a bit too much credit to the Iranian military, who just lost 20 commanders. The supreme leader is in a depressed mental state because everyone around him is dead. Everyone who he dealt with, everyone who was advising him on how to negotiate with the United States, everyone who was advising him on how to fund Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, they're all dead. And Tucker is saying that we should not go and take care of their nuclear program because that will drag United States into a major war like Russia is stuck in for the last 3 years. No comments he makes about Russia. Putin launched a war that was supposed to be 72 hours. Putin wanted Russian soldiers marching in Kyiv, parading in Kyiv in 72 hours in 3 days. More than 3 years have passed. Russia has had 1 million casualties, and not a single comment about that from Tucker.
Record, like, why are the Houthis still there?
No,
I mean, there's a whole other question,
right.
which is how prepared is the U.S. military for a real conflict? And the answer is totally unprepared. Scary unprepared. I don't think people understand that. But anyway, the only reason I'm saying any of this is because I really, really care.
I don't know about you guys. I don't know if I'm going to take Tucker's word about how prepared the U.S. military is. I've never seen him in anything that gives me confidence in that he has the ability to judge the U.S. military. But this is the comment about President Trump telling everyone in Tehran to evacuate. And I wanted to show you guys this clip from Trey Yanks. He's in Israel and he has very good, very unbiased reporting. I'm sure you guys have opinions about Fox News, but I truly do love his reporting from Middle East. And if you guys don't follow him, definitely go check him out on Twitter, Trey Yanks.
From Israel tonight is our own Trey Yanks.
By the way, we have almost 5,000 viewers. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 2 million subscribers. We're at 1.79, so help us out.
I think you slept 5 hours in the last week, but Trey, we appreciate your coverage. Thank you.
Sean, thank you. It's been another difficult 24 hours for Israel. Just about 30 minutes ago, air raid sirens were sounding across the city of Tel Aviv, sending nearly 1 million people in the metro.
Now, a couple of things I do want to point out here. Over the last 3 days, the amount of missiles Iran is sending in every consecutive waves is going down. The first wave was around, I think, 100 missiles. And the most recent wave that happened roughly 2 hours ago was only like 10, 15 missiles. So amount of ballistic missiles they're sending has gone down. You can read it many different ways. One way you can read it is they're just running out of ballistic missiles. But a lot of expert accounts, people who know the Iranian military, they say Iran has used up roughly 10-20% of their missile stockpile. But the second thing that we kind of have to pay attention to is the quality of the missile has gone up. The Iron Dome, the Arrow 3, the David Sling, all the air defenses Israel has, well, some of them are still getting through and they're hitting important targets. Just last night, they have had, as we talked about, one of the largest oil refinery in Israel was attacked with 2, maybe 3 ballistic missiles. And that's definitely a big escalation because so far, Israel has attacked 1 oil assets in Iran, but it was like just a 1 small missile on some infrastructure on the oil refinery. It was more of a message. And the message Israel was trying to send is like, if Iran keeps attacking population centers in Israel, then Israel will start attacking the wallet of Iran, basically. The whole economy is dependent on the oil they have, the oil they export to China and to some other countries. Mostly it goes to China, 80% almost. So that was the message Israel was trying to send, and Iran hit back by just pretty much attacking directly with multiple missiles that got through the air defense in the Israeli city of Haifa, attacking the largest oil refinery in Haifa. Definitely a huge, huge escalation. That's not even considering whatever this is. We see images of oil tankers or ships on fire. We don't know whose ships those are. This news just came out an hour ago, but this is going to be huge if this was Iran. If this was Iran, that's going to be a big escalation that we can't even predict. Yes, wifey, Wi-Fi, whatever your name is. I know 95% of the missiles Iran is sending are intercepted. But these are ballistic missiles. Maybe last night they are sending cruise missiles. Those, or hypersonic missiles, not cruise missile, my mistake. Those, when they get through, they do deal a lot of damage. And that's definitely a huge deal in a democracy like Israel, because people may not be happy with the government decision if they keep getting bombarded. Again, I don't know too much about the recent polls, but that's something the Israeli administration has to keep in mind.
Metropolitan area into bomb shelters. Last night, 11 people were killed as 65 Iranian ballistic missiles streamed through the skies of Israel, 5 of them impacting the ground below, 1 in the heart of Tel Aviv. We arrived just minutes after the explosion, speaking with survivors.
When the missiles arrived, we were in the staircase in the building. And the shock was like so huge. I never saw even a piece of a rocket. And to see an explosion right in front of my face and my brother's face, crazy.
A ballistic missile has just slammed into a building in the center of Tel Aviv. Right now, first responders are trying to put out the flames in the distance. You can see right now there are a variety of paramedics on the scene, police officers and soldiers. And if you come over here, you'll see part of a collapsed building. They don't know if anyone is currently inside, but they are checking right now.
Israel is still striking back against Iran overnight, killing at least one intel chief and his deputy. The IDF tells Fox News they have taken out 1/3 of the Iranian ballistic missile launchers used to attack Israeli cities. They now have air superiority over the Iranian capital of Tehran. And tonight, a message from President Trump saying very clearly Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, calling on everyone to immediately evacuate Tehran. Sean?
Now, we have some breaking news as we are covering it. Some positive news in terms of de-escalation. It seems Trump is pushing for a U.S. envoy to meet with Iran this next week. I think this week, because it's just Monday. What am I saying next week? It's just Monday. So, or is it Tuesday? It's just Monday. I mean, Eastern is just Monday. But another thing, which is like a lot of people are paying attention to this, is the pizza places near White House, near Pentagon. This whole thing started with when President Obama carried out the Osama bin Laden raid. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it started before that, but that's where I remember it from. And you could predict that something was going on just by noticing the traffic at pizza places that are near Pentagon and near White House. Well, the same pattern held when we carried out attacks on Houthis just a few months ago. The same thing held. You can see there was more than usual activity at the pizza place when the Israeli attack started a few days ago, and the same thing was happening tonight. As of 9 p.m. Eastern, both domino locations near the Pentagon were seeing a huge surge. Here you can see, I'm laughing because I can see the next post we're going to talk about it. It's kind of funny. You can see the gray part is the usual traffic and more than double traffic than usual. The next part is the closest gay bar to the Pentagon was reporting below average activity. So people also see whenever not a lot of Pentagon officials are visiting the gay bar, something is going on. Everyone's busy at the Pentagon. That's what people assume. Now, the second thing, I saw some people talk about this in the chat. How is China involved? Well, 90%, maybe 80% of Iranian oil goes to China. China is going to have a minor energy crisis if the Iranian oil is taken off the market. How can that oil get taken off the market? Well, if Iran attacks Strait of Hormuz, this is like cutting the branch you're sitting on, basically, because the Iranian economy is also dependent on the strait. They also use this chokehold to ship their own oil to China. So if they shut this off, they're going to have a hard time shipping their own oil too, and that's going to be a problem for Iran and for China. On top of that, it seems China knew something was coming because China also sent a message to its own citizens today to leave Israel. On top of that, first time ever since this whole thing started, the Chinese state media has been broadcasting live from Israel. It's almost like they were expecting something was about to happen. And here's a very good China analyst. We follow her a lot. She's one of the favorites of the channel. And this is her covering 2 suspicious aircraft that were supposed to go somewhere else. They went to the border near Iran and they turned off their transponder. They basically turned off their tracking signal and they probably landed in Iran. What was China sending? Could it be military supplies? It's anyone's guess. But it seems like China is the only ally Iran has that's actually willing to help Iran right now. Russia is nowhere to be found. All Russia is doing is putting out statements. And remember, Iran has been tremendously helpful for Russia in this invasion that Putin started. Iran supplies them with Shahed drones. Those drones are very, very valuable for Russia. Iran supplies them with some missiles too. And just at the start of this year, they signed a strategic partnership that's supposed to guarantee each other's security. It's easy to sign things like these, and it's harder to actually deliver when the time comes. Russia is not delivering anything at all. But China is actually helping out. This is what's the news.
2 Chinese aircraft landed in Iran under total radio silence. Chinese cargo aircrafts just vanished off radar before entering Iran. Its transponder was turned off midair right before entering Iranian airspace. Analysts suspect a covert mission, possibly military cargo or air defense systems. These planes may have been carrying military supplies like drones or radar parts, but there's no proof and no official
No point for drones. And again, a lot of tech people, including Elon Musk, this is a separate point, a tangent point, but I do want to make it. They were shitting on the F-35 program. Well, look at what F-35 is doing in Iran right now. It's undetectable to the Russian air defenses that Iran has. They have some of the highest grade, the most modern air defenses that Russia produces. And F-35s, they went in last year, destroyed the air defenses, and came out with no casualties, no damage at all. You know? So it's good. We definitely want to learn from the Russia-Ukraine war. We have to realize that drones are going to become a very important part of modern wars. But that doesn't mean that all the big aircrafts, all the jets are going to be useless. We cannot just shut down these programs when we have one of the most advanced jets in the world. It's expensive, but it's the best. Just like the THAAD. How the THAAD system is doing so much work to protect Israel against the ballistic missiles. Well, each system costs $800 million. But it's very, very successful. Quite possibly the best air defense there is out there. It's expensive, but it works. That's the point.
Statement, yet Iran hasn't commented. But this move raises serious questions. It's the same playbook used by America to refuel Israel jets. Follow Prime Scope for unfiltered and unbiased
news. All right, now I will get to the breaking news in just a second. This is the same news, 2 giant cargo aircraft. What makes this whole news more suspicious is the fact that right as they were about to enter the Iranian airspace, right here. So here's China, you guys can see on the map. The planes flew somewhere, I don't know the exact route, but when they got into Turkmenistan, they turned off the tracking signal. They didn't want people to find out that China was sending something, and that's what makes it more suspicious. Why are they trying to hide it? Well, like, doesn't make sense. But now let's get into the breaking news. We have a lot of details to talk about. Yeah, I think that's it. All right, so this is the big one, and I just got this, so I'm reading it with you guys. According to Axios, the White House is discussing with Iran the possibility of a meeting this week between U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, and the Iranian Foreign Minister, Abbas, whatever that last name is, with discussions to include a diplomatic initiative involving nuclear deal and an end to the war between Israel and Iran. The meeting has not been finalized yet, but officials describe it as make or break moment for the question of whether US will join the war against Iran, with negotiators likely to use bunker busters needed to destroy Iran's underground uranium facility at Fordow, which US and Israel does not. Okay, US doesn't have it, Israel has it, the bunker busters. I don't know what I was reading. But basically the news is US is trying to use it, at least from my point of view, it seems like US is trying to use this surprise meeting as leverage to get a meeting. But then again, maybe that's not the case, because we have seen some news about Iran asking US to mediate peace. Now, it's Israel who really doesn't want there to be talks, because look at this from Israel's point of view. They have open skies. Iran cannot do anything to their jets. So they would rather destroy everything than let Iran make a deal and then back out of the deal later when they are stronger. You get what I mean? So from Israel's point of view, maybe Israel may not agree to the US and Iran meeting with something. Let's see. We'll find out. Trump asked his VP Vance and Middle East envoy to offer meeting with the Iranians this week. New York Times. Let's see. I think that's all I have. We'll do some questions real quick, and I'll stop the stream. By the way, it is morning time now in Israel and Iran. Let's see, what time is it? 7 a.m. What time is it in Israel? 6 a.m. So pretty close to each other. It is morning time. Usually the attacks slow down in the morning. I don't know why. I asked you guys a couple of days ago, but usually attacks do slow down. Now, we did have some donations, so I'm going to quickly read those. $2 from Randy Smith. Was a U.S. warship sink? No. So we looked at this at the start of the stream. 3 tankers are on fire. We don't know what countries the tankers are from. Only thing we know is it's on fire. That's it. It's in Gulf of Oman right here. You guys can see this is where the Gulf of Oman is. And this is the Strait of Hormuz. Very important. Iran has sent warnings multiple times that they will blockade the strait, but I doubt they will do it. I'll doubt. And the reason I say this is because Iran knows 100%. If they do something like that, US is getting involved. There's no question about it. I think even Congress would agree that we have to get involved if Iran goes after the oil supply and the oil prices. So that's going to happen 100%. We also got $10 from Diego Correa. Dang, Pentagon sounds fun. I'm guessing you're talking about the gay bars. Yeah. Not my thing, but yeah, it does crazy thing to track. And $2 from Roscoe. Yo, hey, thank you so much for the support, guys. I think we'll end the stream right there. If anything does happen, I think I'm gonna pull an all-nighter today. It's 11:40 right now for me, but I'll stay up all night, and if something happens, we'll get back online. You guys have a good night. Stay safe.